Jerusalem is one of the world's most famous cities, sacred to more than 3 billion Jews, Christians and Muslims.
Jerusalem is a heart for us, and without the heart, you cannot live.
But over the last 3,000 years, it has seen more conflict, more turmoil, more bloodshed than almost anywhere else on earth.
It will blow up. I don't know when, but it will.
In 1948, when modern Israel was founded, Jerusalem became a divided city between Israel and Jordan, between Jew and Arab.
Is there hope? Can you see hope?
No. No hope.
19 years later, in 1967, the whole city fell into Israeli hands. But for its Palestinian, its Arab inhabitants, it was the start of a bitter 40-year occupation that still continues today.
I don't want a balanced story, I want the truth.
I seem to have spent much of my life in divided cities like Belfast and Sarajevo. Communities torn apart by politics and religion. We had bombing campaigns. We lost hundreds in London. But we didn't build walls. You can't win that way.
For the last 4 months, I have been investigating the city of Jerusalem, its warring inhabitants and their competing claims on the world's holiest city. But unless a solution is reached over Jerusalem's future, there can never be peace in the Middle East. On the 5th of June 1967, the Middle East was plunged into war. Threatened with total annihilation by her Arab neighbors, Israel struck first. In just 6 days, the Israeli army destroyed the combined forces of Egypt, Syria and Jordan, and conquered the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights and the West Bank, more than tripling Israel's size. On the third day of the war, the Israeli army entered the old city of Jerusalem and captured its biggest prize, the holiest site in Judaism, the Western Wall. This was the first time in 2,000 years that Jews had been in complete control of the holy city of Jerusalem. Cohen was a journalist at the time and also witnessed the capture of the Western Wall.
For 2,000 years, Jews said, "If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its cunning." 2,000 years. They looked, they prayed towards Jerusalem, towards the east. All this, at that moment, came together. Suddenly, it was whole. And when it was whole, I understood why Jerusalem is the holy city.
Before the war, we had about 3 weeks of what's called the waiting period. The mood in Israel was one of standing before doom. Ramat Gan Stadium, which is the leading football stadium in Israel, was prepared to be a burial ground for 40,000 people. So imagine the feeling when suddenly, on the morning of that June day, it's like you're doomed, you're with a rope around your neck, and somebody comes up and says, just before they pull the trap door, takes off the rope from your neck and says, "You're free." No, not only free, you're now king. And that was that euphoric feeling. I'm not a religious person, but I cried with it.
When Gula Cohen later became an Israeli MP, she sponsored a law to make Jerusalem Israel's complete and united capital.
I think that Jerusalem will be the most intractable problem. Although you may hear people saying, "Oh, we can give up Jerusalem, who needs it?" the Jewish nation will not let go of Jerusalem. A nation can be separated from Jerusalem for thousands of years, just as we were, yearning for it, dreaming about it, and awaiting the day of return. But now we have returned. To give it up again would mean giving it up forever.
Just a week after the conquest of Jerusalem in 1967, the Old City was officially opened to the Israeli public for the Jewish festival of Shavuot. For the first time since the Jews were exiled by the Romans 2,000 years ago, the Western Wall was in Jewish hands.
Jerusalem was always the symbol of where Jews wanted to return to, of repatriation, of ending exile, of going home. So Jerusalem had, both on a religious level and a national level, the status of the ultimate goal, of the destination, of the homecoming.
When modern Israel was founded in 1948, the surrounding Arab states were hostile to the huge waves of Jewish immigrants and declared their intention to annihilate them. A key battleground was Jerusalem. After a brutal and bloody battle, the eastern part of Jerusalem, including the Old City, was captured by the Jordanian Arab Legion.
In 1948, when the city was divided, when the old city of Jerusalem was outside of Jewish hands, there was built into that situation a sense of getting almost to the finish line but not quite there, of something incomplete, of interrupted history.
A year after the capture of the Old City of Jerusalem, the Israeli government decided to set up a special company to rebuild the Jewish quarter. It still controls the quarter today.
In 1948, the old Jewish quarter was taken by the Jordanians, yes? And then between 1948 and 1967, what happened?
From that time until 1967, many Arab families took over Jewish houses and Jewish property. The Arabs simply took over without permission. They took over the whole area without any permission at all. They simply came in from other areas of the Old City, from the Muslim quarter, and from beyond the Old City. And they took over the Jewish property.
Are there still Arabs living in the quarter?
No. There are no Arabs in the quarter today, with the exception of Shalshelet Street. No, not only do they not reside here, but the company's regulations state that the Jewish quarter should remain in Jewish hands. In other words, non-Jews cannot live in the Jewish quarter.
It's difficult to justify that. Listen. I come from a divided city. I come from a divided city. Belfast, very divided city. And increasingly now, Protestants are living in Catholic areas, Catholics living in Protestant areas. But even though a Jew could live in a Muslim area, and do, in Jerusalem, no Muslims can live in the Jewish area. That's correct.
I understand what you are getting at, but this area, which was rebuilt, to which the Jews returned, the property belongs to the Jews. So you won't find Jews here who want to sell their property to the Arabs.
Today's rebuilt Jewish quarter is more than twice the size it was in 1967. Over the last 40 years, more than 75% of its land has been forcibly expropriated from Palestinians.
The point is, we are in promised land and in a holy place. This is the Muslim quarter, and we view now the Al-Haram al-Sharif. So for us, the land is my identity. So you cannot sell. It's more worth than children, it's more worth than anything, even your life. If you take it, you take my identity.
So if this is the Muslim quarter, why are those Israeli flags over there?
This is the houses been sitting settlers. They took it from the Muslim people, and they now staying there. And here in this area, we've been circled by the Jewish around. Here, there, up there. around here.
You must feel as though you're in a siege here.
Absolutely. They want to make it as a Jewish place.
For the last 30 years, groups of Jewish settlers have been spending millions of pounds buying up land in Palestinian areas.
But we're in East Jerusalem, which is
we are in East Jerusalem,
where the Palestinians are a majority.
Yeah. And here, you see, this old houses, this is where Jews lived up to 1936. And it's still in the process to pay the Arabs out, because they are not the owners. The owners are still, were all the time the Jews. You see, the Arabs still living here. You see, the woman just now went out. The question was if we are able to take them out.
And at the end of this area, will there be no Arabs living in this area?
God wish.
Come on, what's that up there? It looks like a camera.
Yes, there is two cameras. One camera is belong to the police, and the other camera is belong to the settlers there. And they're just watching the people that are coming up on the roofs, and they're trying to find out what the people trying to do here or whatever.
So you're constantly being watched?
All the time, 24 hours.
Our plan is, as you see, to build more and more small neighborhoods, and in the end, to connect all of the Jewish neighborhood to one big area.
Really, your plan is to connect up and take over all of this?
Yeah.
But there's one thing that's very clear.
Yeah.
International law has said that Israel's annexation of this land is illegal. That's international law.
This is international law.
And you've ignored it.
I ignored it.
Over the last 40 years, the Israeli government has consistently denied that its annexation of East Jerusalem is illegal.
Kamal, what is Jerusalem to you?
Jerusalem, let's make it like this. This is a body. And Jerusalem is the heart of the body. And Jerusalem is a heart for us. And without the heart, you cannot live.
So this is what you have to walk through. If they have any suspicions about you, they take you into a separate room, and there's a soldier there who will search you.
So what happens here?
So here we go in one by one for them to check our IDs.
Take off your camera. Don't take picture, hello.
You're not allowed to take pictures.
Right. Okay, don't take pictures. You're not allowed to get through. Go on, guys, off you go.
Since 2002, the Israeli government has been building a massive barrier over 430 miles long to separate Israelis from Palestinians. In Jerusalem, it's a 25-foot concrete wall that now cuts off the surrounding Palestinian villages from their city.
Describe to me what the effect on the city of all this is.
The Israeli authorities control all movement to the city. So it means that access to the religious sites, which are very important for Jerusalem, I mean, it's the holy city for both Christians and Muslims, is becoming increasingly difficult. Palestinians can't get to East Jerusalem anymore without a permit.
Within days of the city's conquest in 1967, Aisha Masloui saw her family home destroyed by the Israeli army.
Would Jerusalem be Jerusalem if there were no Jews here, if there were no Christians here, if it was just Arab?
No, for us.
Yes.
For us, if we have Christians or we have Jewish, it's okay. We can be good friends.
So you can share Jerusalem?
Of course, no problem at all. But they can't share us.
To attempt to come up with a complete blueprint for peace, of the sort that has eluded the world's peace negotiators for the last 60 years, would be foolish.
But now I'm back in Britain. I want to try and identify a few of the ingredients from which peace in Jerusalem, when it eventually comes, might be made.
First, we have to accept that the problem of Jerusalem lies at the heart of the whole Arab-Israeli conflict. But in almost every previous peace negotiation, the state must accept the other's right to exist. Both must also accept that terrible things have been done, crimes have been committed by both sides, such as the massacre of Jews by Arabs at Gush Etzion and the massacre of Palestinians by Jews at Deir Yassin.